to keep kids safe.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Tuesday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And boy, is it going to get hot out, and it's not just us, it's the whole Northeast, right?
Yes, the entire Northeast is covered in this heat dome right now, which means that we're seeing tropical-like conditions, high heat and high humidity. That's the factor because it will feel a lot warmer than what the temperature you see in the thermometer is going to be. So let's take a look at those current conditions out there early this morning. Again, as I mentioned, already in the 60s in some spots, have climbed into the 70s. A very warm morning here in central New York. 71 Westernville, 70 in Lowville, 68 Little Falls to the south, 66 Hamilton, 68 degrees in Cooperstown and Skenevis. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. With this high heat and humidity, we're in the zone for some pop-up thunderstorms. I can see just a single thunderstorm pushing it north and east. Those of you in Old Forge could experience a quick downpour and rumble of thunder. But again, outdoors today, especially those of you who work outside, recommend grabbing some extra waters, extra ice packs. Find ways to stay cool and hydrated because this is going to feel like a very hot day with feels like temperatures approaching near 100. So stay cool today with mainly dry conditions too. Sunshine, faded sun with those high-level cirrus clouds, and then a stray thunderstorm possible later on this evening. But we are tracking the continuation of this heat wave over the next few days. We'll let you know when it comes to an end straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The heat wave hitting the East Coast and Midwest is expected to last through at least Friday. Some 150 million people experienced temperatures above 90 degrees on Monday, and readings could rise to over 100 degrees for around 9 million people today. Heat warnings, watches, or advisories are in place from Iowa to Maine, impacting cities including Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City. And coming up later in the broadcast, we take a look inside the classroom at just how hot temperatures can be there, and we'll also talk with experts about how you can beat the heat. A public comment session is set for tonight regarding school resource officers.
This summer, stay in the know wherever you go. Download the WKTV News Channel 2 and the Storm Tracker 2 apps today.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. The time now is 5:12, and we're getting you set as you head out the door on this very warm day on our Munson CommuteCast. First off, a live look at traffic flow data coming in. No accidents to report early this morning, but I want to give you guys actually a bit of a clarification on this road closure taking place in downtown Utica, right between State Street and Route 5S. The on-ramp, just that small section of road, is getting closed for paving. And this is going to be between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. every day. So early this morning, if you're heading out, the road is not closed yet. They'll close it down again during the daytime hours. In fact, here's a live look in right where the State Street on-ramp is. See, it's open right now. It'll close once more once the 6 a.m. hour hits, and it's closed, or at least opens back up again following 6 p.m. The posted detour for this on-ramp is actually right here. You go on, at least on parts of the arterial, 790, right to Genesee Street, and head right back down again, and you'll go right back onto 5S. A bit of a long detour, but that's the detour posted as of this point. But for today, though, temperatures starting out in the 60s and 70s. We're climbing up into the 90s this afternoon. Chance for a spotty pop thunderstorm, but most of us remain dry and very, very warm. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And because of those very warm temperatures, school schedules are changing this week. At least 5 school districts are choosing to release students early today, Thursday, and Friday. Now, schools are already closed on Wednesday for Juneteenth. You can head to WKTV.com to see which schools are releasing kids early and at what time. Now, we did speak with the state's Commissioner for Homeland Security and Emergency Services, and she warns there are some precautions schools need to take.
And so, if you've got sports events going on in the middle of the day, cancel those sports events, suspend vigorous outdoor activities in the schools. You want to keep people as cool as you can. Sometimes the shade outside is going to be cooler than a hot classroom. Sometimes indoors is going to be cooler than outside. Individual school districts are making their own decisions. We are seeing lots go to half days, or some even cancel school for the hottest days. That all makes sense to us, but those are going to be local decisions.
The state Senate and Assembly have passed bills that would require schools to take action when the temperatures in the classroom rise above 82 degrees and vacate them at 88 degrees. The governor has not yet signed the measure into law, and if she does, it will take effect in September of 2025. Again, we have the list of schools making scheduled changes this week at WKTV.com. National Grid has summertime energy saving information that you'll need to know this week to try to beat the heat and also stay safe. News Channel 2's Thomas Tallarino has more on this.
With the recent heat wave, a major concern right now for many is if there is a risk of losing power. According to National Grid, you shouldn't have to worry.
The good news is that by all reports from the New York Independent System Operator, which operates the grid in New York State, there's plenty of capacity on the grid and plenty of generation available to meet the needs and the peak demands of our customers. So
National Grid has recently given out ways to beat the heat while saving money on your energy bills. As temperatures rise in the area, staying cool and saving money is a top priority for many.
All that sunlight that comes in, while we all like the natural light, that heats a room up. So drawing those blinds during the day, opening them back up at night, it helps to trap whatever cool air is in the house, in your home.
These options are low-cost or no-cost ways to keep your house at a comfortable temperature. Another way is to turn your thermostat up 1 degree. This will actually help you in the long run.
It seems like the opposite of what we want to do on a day like today, to turn the air conditioning up. This is about finding the balance between comfort and safety. It costs about 18% less to turn your air conditioning up 3 degrees.
For those with ceiling fans, one thing you can do is change it to spin counterclockwise. By doing this, it will create a wind chill effect.
Something called the wind chill effect. So very much like during the winter, you have that source of cold air, and then you add a breeze to it. The fan can help throw all that cold air across the room and keep everyone cool.
By following these simple tips, you will be able to keep cool and save money on your energy bills at the same time. For News Channel 2, I'm Thomas Tallarino.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. The time now is 5:20. We're waking up to a very warm day all across our local region. A live look at Oneonta right now. The sunrise behind some thinner mid to upper level clouds in the distance, but overall a pretty warm start to the day. Humidity also already very high. Dew point of 66 as of early this morning, which is much higher than yesterday. And this, of course, sets the stage for near tropical-like humidity for this afternoon and temperatures approaching near 90. Still an early sunrise, but again, we'll start to see that sunrise time get a little bit later in the morning as we head closer to the summer solstice. A live look at the radar, mainly dry here in the Mohawk Valley. We're tracking a single cell or multiple cells combined into a little system right here out near Watertown. Some boomers, some thunder and lightning, and some downpours heading east. So those of you in Old Forge could experience a quick downpour and some thunder and lightning, but it looks to be weakening as it shifts into this more stable environment out here in the northern Adirondacks. But regardless of small storms here and there, we're under a larger system called the heat dome for this entire week, and this, of course, keeping things very warm and very, very humid. In fact, with the sunshine and warm temperatures, UV index is at a 10 today. Burn time roughly around 15 minutes with unprotected skin. Just a reminder to find some shade, limit time outside if you can. If you work outside, grab some extra waters, sunscreen, sunglasses, hats, anything to keep your skin safe for today. We have a few records that we're close to breaking for this week. Now, today, I don't think so. I doubt we'll reach 96 set back in 1957. We have a good shot of breaking the record tomorrow. 92 set back in 2007, maybe the same for Thursday, which is 92 set back in 2012. But regardless, if you're running any outdoor events this evening, like, for example, What the Truck, definitely go and take advantage of all the great drinks they have there because it's going to be very warm. Temperatures still in the 90s by the evening, dodging a stray thunderstorm. Heat index. This is why we're talking about the heat being an issue, because you factor in the humidity, it's approaching near 100 with those feels-like conditions. Same thing for tomorrow. Feels-like conditions in the upper 90s, and then by Thursday, still very warm. I would say maybe 96, 95, the feels-like temperature. So the brunt of this heat wave is going to be for today and for tomorrow. Skycast, mainly dry over to the central New York region. Our only relief in the heat will be if a pop-up storm arrives, but notice how most of the area is dry, but we can see if there's a few pop-up thunderstorms here and there, but very isolated in coverage. And we'll see that same thing for tomorrow with temperatures in the 90s and hot and humid conditions. Your 7-day forecast, we've got high heat and humidity the next 3 days. Then we'll start to see a slow cool down by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, cool down being relative. We'll still be in the upper 70s to low 80s. And I'm not quite sure that we'll break the humidity just yet, but I think this will be noticeable after feeling like 100 degrees over the next few days.
Yeah, and look at those overnight temperatures, boy.
Yeah, those are daytime highs of a week or so ago, so
Yeah,
very warm.
Not cooling down at all. Eric, thanks. The time right now, 5:24.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And it is going to be hot all week long, especially tomorrow for Juneteenth with all the observations going on.
Yes, very warm, very humid. That's the main thing with this heat wave. It's not just dry heat. Every time we get this, it's that humidity.
Yeah.
That will be the main factor.
It adds it up, doesn't it?
Yes, it'll feel closer to 100 degrees out for today. But let's take a look at what's going on early this morning. And it's already a pretty mild start. 68 degrees Hamilton, 67 in Rome. Ooh, some thunderstorms up in Watertown. We'll take a look at that radar in just a second. 71 Westernville, 62 Inlet, 68 in Little Falls, and to the south, 68 Sherburne, Cooperstown, and Snevis, and 70 going on in Oneonta. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. As with this high heat and humidity comes the chance for some pop-up thunderstorms, and that looks to be the case just in mainly Lewis County. And this is looking to push north of Boonville into Old Forge. Again, it's entering a more stable environment. It's likely to weaken a bit more as it arrives east, but I'm not going to rule out a thunderstorm just yet as it continues eastward into the northern part of Herkimer County. But out the door today, especially those of you who work outside, I highly recommend you grab extra waters, grab extra ice packs, because it's going to be very, very hot out. With that humidity as well. Find shade if you can, keep some sunglasses, hat, and of course sunscreen to make sure you avoid burning. And again, temperatures climbing into the low 90s. Feels like temperatures soaring into the upper 90s, near 100. And a chance of a stray thunderstorm, but most of us will remain entirely dry today. We're tracking the continuation of this heat for the next few days, and when it comes to an end, straight ahead. Gary?
And remember, keep those pets inside for sure.
Yes.
Millions of Americans are looking for ways to beat the heat as record-breaking temperatures expand from the mid-Atlantic up to the Northeast. The season's first big heat wave well underway, and it's only mid-June. This was the scene in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania on Monday. Adults and kids alike taking to pools and water parks to escape the sweltering heat. And in Sewell, New Jersey, people lining up for ice cream and others looking for shade from the intense sun. Some 270 million people are expected to experience temperatures 90 degrees or above in the coming days as a heat dome takes hold, threatening to shatter more than 100 daily records this week. Authorities are warning those in impacted areas to take precautions and not underestimate the heat. Well, with the first of two scheduled presidential debates, transportation is rolling asphalt even in this heat that we're seeing. Crews have been working on Route 5S. We caught up with them in Ilion on Monday. They worked in the near 90-degree heat on existing pavement that was 150 degrees and rolled asphalt as hot as 450 degrees. They have extra water, extra ice, and extra Gatorade on site, and the workers are definitely looking out for each other.
Asphalt is very finicky in the sense that not only air temperature, you do have a difficult time in a good part of the seasons when it's too cold to do it, but it's also when it's rain and moisture conditions that can affect it too. So it is an operation that when the sun is shining, you do have to make hay.
And he had to be hot in that shirt and tie right there. A reminder, pavement work on Route 5S in Herkimer County is happening 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Well, the DOT is also prepping for paving in downtown Utica. This is the ramp between State Street and eastbound Oriskany Street. Paving operations will take place daily, and for the next 2 weeks, weather permitting, detour signs are posted. The Madison County Board of Supervisors has announced their new chairperson. Town of Nelson Supervisor James Cunningham will be the new leader of the board. He has served as Nelson Supervisor since 2020. Cunningham replaces Joseph Pinard, who announced his resignation from the role last week due to personal reasons. A vice chairperson has yet to be announced. Well, tomorrow, Miss Opal Lee also...
This summer, stay in the know wherever you go. Download the WKTV News Channel 2 and the Storm Tracker 2 apps today.
Mr. Mike's here.
Welcome back. We are taking a look at our photo of the day on this Tuesday, this very warm Tuesday morning, and this one is a photo submitted to us of the Madison County hilltop in Madison County, of course, and I would say that just Madison County in general is just an absolutely beautiful county. Lots of hills like this one, just gorgeous landscape, and again, just great photo submitted right here. I think I actually have been near this spot. I'll have to double check if I was ever on Jansen Road, but again, great photo right here. If you want to submit a photo like this one, send it to the link right there on the top of your screen, WKTV.com/weather/pics for your chance of your photo featured right here on News Channel 2 at sunrise. Something else to mention too with this high heat and high humidity is that we could be breaking some temperature records. Now, I think comfortably we'll not break the record set, at least for today. In fact, I'll bring it right back up here. We got temperatures in the 50s, or at least high temperature was set in 1957 of 96. The forecast high today around 93 degrees. We have a shot of breaking the record tomorrow, a 92 set back in 2007. Same thing for Thursday, 92 set back in 2012. Let's see if we get close to or break any of these records. Gary?
Good today.
Yeah, we'll try. It's been hard. 96, that's getting close to 100.
Yeah, that's for sure. Eric, thanks. Well, health experts are warning people about these hot temperatures and the dangers associated with them. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney spoke with local officials to see how they're preparing to make sure everyone beats the heat.
Last year alone, over 120,000 heat-related illnesses resulted in visits to the emergency room. With an impending heat wave in central New York, we spoke with officials at Kunkel Ambulance to find out how you can protect yourself.
So it's making sure that they can stay in relatively cool, shaded areas with air conditioning if possible, lots of hydration, lots of fluids. Water's good, Gatorade, things like that are better. Liquid IV, the little packets you can put in the water, those are very helpful as well.
Oneida County Executive Anthony Pizenti says if people need them, cooling centers have been set up.
There are cooling centers that the state occupies in various senior centers, libraries throughout. Those are listed on our website, and for anybody that can go there to look at it. We'll also, post them wherever else, wherever we can.
In Oneida County, cooling centers have been set up at Dunham Library, Jervis Library, Kirkland Library, the North Utica Senior Center, the Parkway Senior Center, Sanger Town Square Mall, Cheryl Kenwood Library, the South Rome Senior Center, and the Utica Public Library. In Herkimer counties, centers are at Baslow Library, Little Falls Library, Little Falls YMCA, Dolgeville Mannheim Library, and the Ilion Library. Kunkel Ambulance is also preparing for the heat.
So as with every day, we do our daily ambulance checks. We make sure that we have all the equipment that we need. We make sure that there are extra ice packs and IV fluids available to the crews to respond to those heat-related emergencies.
Reporting in Utica, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, welcome back everyone. We are starting out the day on the warm side in the 60s and 70s with that humidity also very high. Let's take a live look in Oneonta, a gorgeous shot of the sunrise early this morning. I'm so glad we're seeing some sunrise again here on their camera. We usually have been seeing cloudy starts to the day, at least last week, but now, of course, a clear shot of the beautiful eastern sky. Partly cloudy, 67 the official temperature at Griffithson Rome. Very humid as well. Dew points upper 60s, and this will continue to climb. As dew points reach the 70s, that's when we reach the tropical side of things, at least humidity-wise. It will feel almost as if we are in of course, tropics or maybe South Florida in the summertime, for those of you that definitely know how that feels. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2, a live radar. Mohawk Valley, southern valleys, entirely dry right now. We are tracking a single system of some downpours, thunder and lightning pushing east, but notice how it's almost weakening, as if the border of Lewis and Herkimer County has a bit of a barrier here. Notice how just storms are falling apart. It's entering a more stable atmosphere, and storms in stable atmospheres tend to fall apart. But regardless of the small-scale systems, we are under a large-scale heat dome covering most of the northeast, eastern coast, and millions of people in this heat dome, including us here in central New York. And with the high heat and humidity, UV index soaring into the 10s for the scale, meaning that burn time is roughly around 15 minutes a day with unprotected skin. If you do work outside today, I do recommend at least finding some shade, getting some sunscreen, extra waters. But if you don't have to work or be outside today, I do recommend limiting the time outdoors. Another helpful reminder too, please avoid walking your pets in the daytime hours. With temperatures in the 90s, asphalt could soar to 140 degrees, which can burn paws in less than a minute, and in 5 minutes with 120 degrees on bare concrete. Wait until the sun is no longer shining on the asphalt closer around 7, 8 p.m. when the sun angle is well below the horizon. That's a safe time to start walking out those pets. But another thing too today, what the truck is happening this afternoon and this evening. I recommend, of course, grabbing some of those lemonades they have, as it's going to be very hot and very humid. Feels like temperatures soaring into the upper 90s today. Same thing for tomorrow, and same thing as we head into Thursday, especially in the valleys. The higher elevations will feel like potentially the upper 80s to low 90s. But our skycast showing mainly dry weather. Of course, with this high heat humidity, we can't rule out a pop-up thunderstorm here or there, but most of the region is going to be dry and, of course, very, very warm. And your 7-day forecast will be starting out in the 90s the next few days. Following this heat wave, we'll be down into the 80s and 70s following this weekend into next week. But Gary, as you mentioned in the last half hour, those overnight lows are what our highs were last week.
Yeah.
And so this tells you how quick the pattern changes for this coming week. So yeah. Very warm.
That AC will be kicking on all night long.
Oh yeah.
Eric, thanks. The U.S. Surgeon General is sounding the alarm about the...
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And speaking of heat waves, you know, we've been close over the last couple of years to actually reaching that, but this week, we're officially going to get there with 3 straight days, right?
Yes, and that's the thing. When we're talking about 90s, of course, we see 90s in summertime. That's not the unusual part. The usual part is several days of 90s in a row in mid-June. Wow. That's the unusual part, and that's why it's officially called a heat wave. 3 days over 90 degrees. Let's take a look at what's going on outside early this morning. It's already a very warm start in a lot of the regions. 68 in Rome and Hamilton, 72 Watertown, 73 out in Syracuse, zooming in into central New York, 71 in Westernville, 66 Dolgeville, 68 in Lake Pleasant, 68 as well as Hamilton, Sherburne, and Cooperstown with 70 checking in Oneonta. And a live look at the Artful Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We are keeping tabs on this thunderstorm up to the north. This is very interesting, the way this is behaving. We know that there's a stable atmosphere just over in the Adirondacks near Long Lake, Lake Pleasant. But you're seeing the barrier of these storms just fall apart as it's trying its best to inch its way closer to Herkimer County. We'll keep an eye on this system. Again, I want to rule out a thunderstorm or downpour just yet, but this is a very intense weakening of that system as it pushes east. But regardless, for all of central New York, as you head out the door today, especially those of you who work outside, grab some sunglasses, grab your hat, sunscreen, find extra shade if you can, extra ice packs, extra waters. It's going to be hot, and I want to make sure no one gets dehydrated or overheats in this weather. So 90s today, mainly dry, chance for a pop-up thunderstorm, but again, most of us will be likely to not see one. And then following that, we're continuing to see these warm temperatures over the next few days. We'll talk about how long it lasts straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And this heat wave hitting the East Coast is expected to last through at least Friday. Some 150 million people experience temperature. The East Coast is expected to last through at least Friday. Some 150 million people experience temperatures above 90 degrees on Monday, and readings could rise to over 100 degrees for around 9 million people today. Heat warnings, watches, or advisories are in place from Iowa all the way up to Maine, impacting cities including Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City. And coming up a bit later here in our broadcast, we will take a look inside the classroom at just how high temperatures get there, and we'll talk with experts about how you can beat the heat. A public comment session is set for tonight regarding school resource officers in Herkimer, but last night,
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:13. Of course, we're getting you set as you head out the door on this very warm Tuesday here across central New York. First off, a live look at traffic flow from our Munson traffic tracker. So far, things are looking pretty quiet, but a reminder that the exit ramp between State Street and Route 5S is closed as of now. And in fact, I'll actually take a look outside to see if roadwork is taking place initially right now or is going to wait until at least some part of the morning rush hour. It looks like it is closed. As a matter of fact, let's take a live look at downtown Utica right now. Here it is. The on-ramp is now closed. So how do you get from State Street to 5S? Well, here is the detour. You got to go along 790 along the arterial, across, then back down Genesee Street, and then you'll encounter 5S once more. So that's the official detour posted by the DOT. And a reminder that this closure takes place from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and then following 6 p.m. it opens back up again. So if you need to use that road and you just want to wait until 6 p.m. onwards, you could also do that. But regardless, for all of central New York this morning, mainly dry weather, temperatures already in the 60s, near 70 degrees, warming up into the 90s by this afternoon with hazy, hot, and humid weather. We're talking about how warm it gets with the heat index today and the next few days straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And school schedules are changing this week because of the extreme heat. At least 5 local districts are choosing to release students early today, Thursday, and Friday. Now, schools are already closed on Wednesday, tomorrow, for Juneteenth. And you can head to WKTV.com to see which schools are releasing kids early and at what time. Now, we spoke with the state's Commissioner for Homeland Security and Emergency Services, and she warns there are some precautions that schools need to take.
And so, if you've got sports events going on in the middle of the day, cancel those sports events, suspend vigorous outdoor activities in the schools. You want to keep people as cool as you can. Sometimes the shade outside is going to be cooler than a hot classroom. Sometimes indoors is going to be cooler than outside. Individual school districts are making their own decisions. We are seeing lots go to half days, or some even cancel school for the hottest days. That all makes sense to us, but those are going to be local decisions.
The state Senate and Assembly have passed bills that would require schools to take action when the temperature in the classroom rises above 82 degrees and vacate classrooms at 88 degrees. Now, the governor has not yet signed the measure into law. If she does, it will take effect in September of 2025. Again, we do have the list of schools making schedule changes this week on our website, WKTV.com. Meanwhile, National Grid has summertime energy saving information that you'll need this week to beat the heat. News Channel 2's Thomas Tellerino has more on this.
With the recent heat wave, a major concern right now for many is if there is a risk of losing power. According to National Grid, you shouldn't have to worry.
The good news is that by all reports from the New York Independent System Operator, which operates the grid in New York State, there's plenty of capacity on the grid and plenty of generation available to meet the needs and the peak demands of our customers. So
National Grid has recently given out ways to beat the heat while saving money on your energy bills. As temperatures rise in the area, staying cool and saving money is a top priority for many.
All that sunlight that comes in, while we all like the natural light, that heats a room up. So drawing those blinds during the day, opening them back up at night, it helps to trap whatever cool air is in the house, in your home.
These options are low cost or no cost ways to keep your house at a comfortable temperature. Another way is to turn your thermostat up 1 degree. This will actually help you in the long run.
It seems like the opposite of what we want to do on a day like today, is to turn the air conditioning up. This is about finding the balance between comfort and safety. It costs about 18% less to turn your air conditioning up 3 degrees.
For those with ceiling fans, one thing you can do is change it to spin counterclockwise. By doing this, it will create a wind chill effect.
Something called the wind chill effect. So very much like during the winter, you have that source of cold air, and then you add a breeze to it. The fan can help throw all that cold air across the room and keep everyone cool.
By following these simple tips, you'll be able to keep cool and save money on your energy bills at the same time. For News Channel 2, I'm Thomas Tellerino.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. The time now is 6:21, and it's going to be a very warm day today. But for now, it's still warm, but not too bad. A live look at downtown Utica right now. Blue skies, temperatures starting out in the upper 60s with sunshine and higher humidity. Dew point upper 60s. When that dew point reaches the 70-degree mark, it feels very tropical, almost as if we are in the tropics, or for example, the Caribbean, South Florida type humidity. So again, today looking to be very humid. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. All the Mohawk Valley and south entirely dry. We are still keeping an eye on this small system of storms impacting the Watertown region, Lewis County, northern Oswego County, but it's entering a barrier right along the border of Lewis and Herkimer County. I still am not going to run a thunderstorm just yet for those of you in the North Country, but just for now, it is looking to weaken as it continues to shift more and more east. But with the high temperatures, lots of sunshine, high humidity today, UV index is at a 10 out of 11. So a reminder that you definitely want to limit your time outdoors if you can. If you can't, well, I would say find some sunscreen, sunglasses, hats, and of course pack extra waters and ice packs to stay cool in this. Reminder that burn time is around 15 minutes with the sunshine and unprotected skin. Another thing to mention too is with the high temperatures, the pavement warms up a lot faster. Shaded grass, 90 degrees, but as you go up to concrete and asphalt, 140 degrees potential temperature. So make sure you hold off on that dog walk until after the sun is below the horizon, or at least where the asphalt is shaded, because paw burns could occur in less than a minute, and you don't want your furry friends to get have that happen. So again, hold off on the dog walk during the daytime today. Another thing we can do today is go out to What the Truck, and of course temperatures will be very warm, very humid, stray thunderstorm possible, but if you want to spend time outside today, go ahead and enjoy the great drinks they have there too as well. There's some great lemonades I had last time I was there. 90s, feels like temperatures in pretty much all of central New York today. Mohawk Valley approaching near 100 with a heat index. And same thing for tomorrow and for Wednesday with heat indices approaching near 100. Skycast mainly dry, still a chance of a pop-up thunderstorm here and there, but again, chances are low, as is with any typical high heat and humidity situation, and this will be the case heading into the next few days. Your 7-day forecast, 90s, heat wave continuing between now and through Thursday, then will gradually cool down into the 70s as we approach next week, but it's upper 70s with still notable humidity. Compared to this week, at least it'll feel a little bit cooler, but main thing is highs 90s, lows only in the 70s. Gary?
And we are smelling a little smoke here in the studio. I don't know if there's a fire going on here.
Oh, yes. We actually, it looks like we have it on the tower camera here as well, so it looks like we have a view of the fire.
There is a fire somewhere.
It's smoky. I'm going to look at it more. It's not nearly as impressive. It just looks like it may just be a minor fire. We'll take a look at it coming up.
Eric, thank you, and then be sure to like us.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And nice job during the commercial there, rolling down the hill to check things out.
I wanted to make sure people were okay.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
I smelled smoke, and it's pretty strong in here right now. The wind must be favorably carrying it directly in our direction.
Yeah.
So, but yes, it's just a small controlled fire as of now. But right now, the main thing is behind us. Heat and humidity. Very warm today. Let's take a look at those current conditions out there early this morning. 68 in Rome, 68 Hamilton, 58 Saranac Lake, zooming in closer, 71 Westernville, 67 in Dolgeville into the south, 68 Hamilton, and 70 degrees in Oneonta. And so it's a warm start already, and a dry start on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. But we're keeping our eye on this storm system, which has been falling in roughly the same area for the past hour or so in parts of the Watertown region, northern Oswego County, Lewis County, and as it's approaching Herkimer County, it's actually weakening a little bit. But again, for now, I'm not ruling out a thunderstorm in the Old Forge region for the next few hours. But for today, though, for all of central New York, especially those of you that work outside today, I highly recommend grabbing some extra waters, extra ice packs. Find ways to stay cool today. It's going to be very warm and very humid with heat index, or feels like temperatures soaring to near 100. So temperatures on paper in the 90s. Mainly dry, stray thunderstorm possible as with any typical high heat humidity pattern. But following this, we're continuing to see these warm temperatures over the next few days. We'll let you know when the heat wave breaks straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Millions of Americans are looking for ways to beat the heat as record-breaking temperatures expand from the mid-Atlantic all the way up to Maine. The season's first big heat wave well underway, and it's only mid-June. Now, we do have a scene from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania on Monday. Check that out right there. Adults and kids alike taking to pools and water parks to escape the sweltering heat. And in Sewell, New Jersey, people lining up for ice cream and others looking for shade from the intense sun. Some 270 million people are expected to experience temperatures 90 degrees or above in the coming days as a heat dome takes hold, threatening to shatter more than 100 daily records this week. There's the shot there from New Jersey, that is. Authorities are warning those in impacted areas to take precautions and not underestimate the heat. And the State Department of Transportation is rolling out asphalt in this heat. That's right, crews have been working on Route 5S, and we caught up with them in Ilion on Monday. They are working in near 90-degree temperatures yesterday and even higher today. The existing pavement temperature about 150 degrees, and the rolled asphalt 450 degrees. They have extra water, extra ice, and extra Gatorade on site, and the workers are definitely looking out for each other.
Asphalt is very finicky in the sense that, one, not only air temperature, you do have a difficult time in a good part of the seasons when it's too cold to do it, but it's also when it's rain and moisture conditions that can affect it too. So it is an operation that when the sun is shining, you do have to make hay.
And a reminder, pavement work on Route 5S in Herkimer County is happening 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. And the DOT is also prepping for paving in downtown Utica. This is the ramp between State Street and eastbound Oriskany Street. Paving operations will take place daily for the next 2 weeks. Weather permitting, detour signs are posted. Well, with the first of 2 scheduled presidential debates this season,
Welcome back, everyone. We are starting out by showcasing our photo of the day today, and this one was submitted to us, of course, on our website, WKTV.com, and this is of the Madison County Hilltop on Jansen Road. And I had to share this because this is just a beautiful scene, almost wallpaper type, with just the gorgeous clouds in the backdrop, green, the red barn as well. Beautiful country in Madison County, by the way. I love the scenery of those hilltops down there as well. So if you want to submit a photo like this one, send it right there to the link on top of your screen, WKTV.com/weather/pics, for your chance to have your photo featured right here on News Channel 2 at sunrise. Well, speaking of the heat, we have records that we're close to breaking for this week. Let's talk about them right now. We have 3 of them that we're very close to. Today, Wednesday, and Thursday. I don't think we'll break the record today. That was 96 set back in 1957. Tomorrow and Thursday, though, those highs of 92 set back in 07 and 2012, I think we have a good shot of beating them for tomorrow and Thursday. So we'll keep an eye on these records. We'll let you know, of course, if we get close to breaking them. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And health experts are warning people about these hot temperatures and the dangers associated with them. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney spoke with local officials to see how they're preparing to make sure that everyone beats the heat.
Last year alone, over 120,000 heat-related illnesses resulted in visits to the emergency room. With an impending heat wave in central New York, we spoke with officials at Kunkel Ambulance to find out how you can protect yourself.
So it's making sure that they can stay in relatively cool, shaded areas with air conditioning if possible, lots of hydration, lots of fluids. Water's good, Gatorade, things like that are better. Liquid IV, the little packets you can put in the water, those are very helpful as well.
Oneida County Executive Anthony Pezenti says if people need them, cooling centers have been set up.
There are cooling centers that the state occupies in various senior centers, libraries throughout. Those are listed on our website, and for anybody that can go there to look at it. We'll also, post them wherever else, wherever we can.
In Oneida County, cooling centers have been set up at Dunham Library, Jervis Library, Kirkland Library, the North Utica Senior Center, the Parkway Senior Center, Sangertown Square Mall, Cheryl Kenwood Library, the South Rome Senior Center, and the Utica Public Library. In Herkimer counties, centers are at Baslow Library, Little Falls Library, Little Falls YMCA, Dolgeville Manheim Library, and the Ilion Library. Kunkel Ambulance is also preparing for the heat.
So as with every day, we do our daily ambulance checks. We make sure that we have all the equipment that we need. We make sure that there are extra ice packs and IV fluids available to the crews to respond to those heat-related emergencies.
Reporting in Utica, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to be dealing with a very warm day this afternoon with temperatures soaring into the 90s. Feels like temperatures upper 90s, near 100. A live look outside right now. It's quiet, it's sunny, but it's humid. Temperatures currently sitting at 68 degrees, sunny skies, very humid weather, of course, dew points in the upper 60s, and this will reach the low 70s by this afternoon. and so that will feel, of course, very, very tropical. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Almost the entire Mohawk Valley and Southern Valleys entirely dry today. Reminder, though, that we're tracking this storm pushing through Lewis County at this point. Lots of thunder and lightning, heavy downpours. Just be expected to see this if you live in the Old Forge Inlet area early this morning. But for most of us, we're remaining dry today, and with the sunshine, we're going to be seeing UV indexes approaching 10, which means that burn time would take roughly 15 minutes average with all different types of skin. And this is mainly for those with unprotected skin. So a reminder that you want to keep that sunscreen handy, find some shade, sunglasses, hat, and if you can, limit time outside. I know some of you work outside, you can't really avoid it. So I recommend, of course, just keeping that sunscreen handy and definitely keeping some water handy as well. Want to stay hydrated in this heat. Something else to mention with this heat, avoid that dog walk. That's something I want to be very, very adamant about, because with sunshine hitting the asphalt at 90 or more degrees, it could reach a temperature of 140 degrees or more. That means that paw burns in 5 minutes at 120 degrees, 1 minute at 140 degrees. So really avoid that dog walk until the evening. You definitely don't want to do it during the daytime. But anyways, for a lighter note, talking about going to the What the Truck this afternoon and this evening, temperature's still very warm. Might want to grab some extra lemonades at What the Truck today, but so far mainly dry, dodging a stray thunderstorm. These are how these temperatures today will feel like. You factor in that heat and humidity. 98 degrees today in the Mohawk Valley. Same thing for tomorrow. A little bit cooler for Thursday, but the difference between 96 and 98 and feels like temperatures, not too much of a difference. It's going to be very, very hot. In our Skycast today, really just showing mainly dry weather, potential for a pop thunderstorm here and there, but for the most part, we are looking entirely dry. Your 7-day forecast. Next 3 days, 90s, hot and humid. Following that, we'll cool down a little bit by the coming weekend, not by much, but the main story is, of course, it's very hot, and the overnight lows only falling into the low 70s. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The U.S. Surgeon General is sounding the alarm about the...
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the CW11. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
With a very hot forecast for the day today.
Yeah, very, very warm. We're talking about 90s the highs today. Factoring in that humidity, even warmer, upper 90s, near 100.
South Florida like.
South Florida, maybe a trip to Bermuda type weather today. It's very warm. We're just moving the Caribbean up here to central New York. Yeah. Let's take a look at those current conditions out there early this morning. It's a balmy 72 degrees in Rome as of 7 o'clock this morning, 70 in Hamilton, 64. Up in Saranac Lake, and zooming in, 68 in Dolgeville, 71 Westmoreland, 64 in Long Lake and Lake Pleasant. To the south, 68 Cooperstown, 72 Oneonta, and 66 in Norwich in Chenango County. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We've been tracking this storm all morning long. It's one that's primarily affecting north of the Mohawk Valley, in fact, well north, up near Turin and Lowville. Some thunder and lightning taking place up there. Heading towards Old Forge and Inlet. So this is heading east, avoiding most of the region. In fact, just north of Boonville. Those of you in Boonville could probably look to the north and see some stormy skies. But heading out the door today, we're not seeing widespread storms. In fact, mainly dry weather, a few passing clouds, temperatures in the 90s. Feels like temperatures have been warmer. A reminder to keep some sunglasses handy, sunscreen, find shade, grab your hat, ice packs, waters, everything that you can find a way to stay cool today, because it's going to be very, very hot. Now, following today, at least for this evening, we could see a pop-up thunderstorm with this high heat and humidity. But following this, we'll talk about what we can expect for temperatures the next few days and how long this heat wave lasts. Straight ahead.
Eric, thanks. The heat wave hitting the East Coast and Midwest is expected to last through at least Friday. Some 150 million people experience temperatures above, and readings could rise to over 100 degrees for around 9 million people today. Heat warnings, watches, or advisories are in place from Iowa all the way up to Maine, impacting so many cities, including Philadelphia, Boston, and New York City. And we'll have some tips on how to beat the heat coming up in this broadcast. Continuing coverage now of a Utica man who shot and stabbed.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. The time now is 7:23, and we are starting out the day with warm conditions already and high humidity. A live look at downtown Utica right now. Blue skies and temperatures sitting at 72 officially. Very humid, dew point upper 60s. And we'll start to see that feels like temperatures soar this afternoon into the mid to upper 90s. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Here it is. As we expected, those rain showers are eventually pushing more and more east. Old Forge now under a thunderstorm with downpours. But that's really about it with rainfall coverage early this morning. Most of central New York looking pretty dry. And with the lots of sunshine today and high humidity, a reminder that with a UV index of 10, burning your skin is very easy. Burn time around 15 minutes. I recommend if you're working outside today, sunscreen, sunglasses, hat, find shade. If you can, limit time outside, even though I know some of you aren't able to with your professions. But again, stay hydrated, stay cool. It's going to be a warm one out there. And something I want to emphasize as much as I can. Please do not walk your dogs in the middle of the daytime. Asphalt will be very, very warm. 140 degrees in the bare sun with 90 degree surface temperatures, 125 on concrete. And this is how fast those paws burn. Well, 1 minute, 140, 5 minutes, 120. So reminder, please hold off on that dog walk for the afternoon. Wait until the evening after the sun begins to set. Another event we can head to today is, of course, What the Truck every Tuesday, and the weather cooperating for the most part, although it's very warm and very humid, so I recommend grabbing some of those delicious lemonades from some of those food trucks. Heat index values, what the temperature feels like the next few days, very warm. Upper 90s today, same thing tomorrow, and same thing for Thursday. So we're in the brunt of the heat wave for the next 3 days. And then we'll start to see a little bit of relief as we approach the end of the work week. But for now, sunshine, temperatures quickly climbing into the low 90s by this afternoon. Pop-up thunderstorm here and there, otherwise mainly dry. Same thing for tomorrow. Low to mid-90s, pop thunderstorm possible. Otherwise mainly dry conditions with hazy, hot, and humid weather. And as we head into Thursday afternoon, we'll start to see a few more thin, wispy clouds, better shot for a thunderstorm here and there. And then following that, we'll see a little bit of a cool down heading into Friday with highs in the 80s. Saturday and Sunday cooling down a little bit more. But even though it is in the 80s, a bit of a relief compared to low to mid 90s. Feels like temperatures upper 90s the next few days.
With Gary Liberatore.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And the heat is definitely on. It is downright muggy and hot at the same time out there already at this hour.
Yes, very warm, very hot, and we got some sunshine out there as well. A few pop-up storms out east we've been tracking, but they have been diminishing very quickly. So let's take a look at what's going on right now. First off, we have heat advisories all across central New York, and I want to show these graphics more to give you an idea when warnings come to your phone. Well, what do they really mean? Well, there's heat advisory, excessive heat watch, and excessive heat warning. They go from least extreme to most extreme from left to right, so we're, of course, at the low level. This is nothing completely out of the ordinary here in central New York with heat advisories, but again, the unusual aspect of this is the length of this heat wave and the timing of it, which is mid-June. Usually we see these types of conditions happening in late July. That's usually the warmest time of the year. Around the state, temperatures in the 80s, 85 in Rome, 86 Hamilton. Zooming in, I would not be shocked already if we'll reach 90 degrees in some spots by around 1 o'clock. 88 Little Falls, 76 Inlet, 86 in Westmoreland to the south, 86 in Hamilton, 87 in Cooperstown, 85 in Schenevus. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We've been tracking some pop-up storms out to the south and to the east or the west, but these have been diminishing. We're going to continue to keep an eye on these because with such high humidity, these storms can pop up out of nowhere. So for now, most of us will remain entirely dry. Temperatures climbing into low 90s. heat index values reaching the mid to potentially upper 90s and dodging a stray thunderstorm approaching this evening. Now, we'll continue to track how warm it gets over the next few days and when this heat wave finally breaks in that forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And because of this extreme heat and humidity, Governor Hochul has activated the National Guard to assist in any heat emergencies that may develop over the next several days. The governor said this morning, quote, News Channel 2's Ben Kinney has more on them and other preparations in place to make sure everyone beats the heat.
Last year alone, over 120,000 heat-related illnesses resulted in visits to the emergency room. With an impending heat wave in central New York, we spoke with officials at Kunkel Ambulance to find out how you can protect yourself.
So it's making sure that they can stay in relatively cool, shaded areas with air conditioning if possible, lots of hydration, lots of fluids. Water's good, Gatorade, things like that are better. Liquid IV, the little packets you can put in the water, those are very helpful as well.
Oneida County Executive Anthony Picenti says if people need them, cooling centers have been set up.
There are cooling centers that the state occupies in various senior centers, libraries throughout. Those are listed on our website, and for anybody that can go there to look at it. We'll also, post them wherever else, wherever we can.
In Oneida County, cooling centers have been set up at Dunham Library, Jervis Library, Kirkland Library, the North Utica Senior Center, the Parkway Senior Center, Sangertown Square Mall, Cheryl Kenwood Library, the South Rome Senior Center, and the Utica Public Library. In Herkimer counties, centers are at Baslow Library, Little Falls Library, Little Falls YMCA, Dolgeville Manheim Library, and the Ilion Library. Kunkel Ambulance is also preparing for the heat.
So as with every day, we do our daily ambulance checks. We make sure that we have all the equipment that we need. We make sure that there are extra ice packs and IV fluids available to the crews to respond to those heat-related emergencies.
Reporting in Utica, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2.
And school schedules are changing this week because of the extreme heat. At least 5 school districts are choosing to release students early today, Thursday and Friday. Schools are closed tomorrow for Juneteenth. And you can head to WKTV.com to see which schools are releasing kids early and at what time. Now, we spoke with the state's Commissioner for Homeland Security and Emergency Services, and she warns there are some precautions that schools definitely need to take.
And so, if you've got sports events going on in the middle of the day, cancel those sports events, suspend vigorous outdoor activities in the schools. You want to keep people as cool as you can. Sometimes the shade outside is going to be cooler than a hot classroom. Sometimes indoors is going to be cooler than outside. Individual school districts are making their own decisions. We are seeing lots go to half days or some even cancel school for the hottest days. That all makes sense to us, but those are going to be local decisions.
Now, the state Senate and Assembly have passed bills that would require schools to take action when the temperature in classrooms rises above 82 degrees and vacate them at 88 degrees. The governor has yet to sign the measures into law. If she does, it will take effect in September of 2025. Again, we do have that list of schools making schedule changes at WKTV.com. The Madison County Board of Supervisors.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. It is downright hot out there this afternoon with temperatures already approaching the upper 80s. Dew points also very high. Let's take a live look at downtown Utica. It's hazy, hot, and humid out there. The skies a little bit more milky, and temperatures so far this afternoon sitting at 85 degrees. Now, we actually reached 70-degree dew point an hour or so ago, so we went from very humid to the tropical category. So again, this feels a lot more like southern Florida in the summertime, or if you're taking vacations in the Bahamas or anything in the Caribbean. That's how humid it feels like right now. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We are keeping an eye on a few pop-up storms out to the west. They are still falling apart as they reach our local area. We still have plenty of stable air in place, but it's going to be battling all this high heat and humidity, which wants to try its best to fire up a storm or two. So, of course, storm chances are non-zero today. We're not tracking anything too severe, maybe some gusty winds if one does form. But for the most part, we're looking mainly dry. There's no driving factor, no fronts forcing this to develop. But regardless, it's going to be sunny today. In fact, it's already sunny right now. Heat index approaching 10, which means that a burn time around 15 minutes on unprotected skin. Those of you outside today or required to spend more time outside, grab some sunscreen, sunglasses, hats, find some shade if you can, because of course the sun is going to produce burn marks with how long that you are in the sun. Another mention too, please do not walk your dogs in this hot weather right now with the sunshine. The pavement, the concrete, the asphalt is extremely hot and can cause paw burns. You want to make sure your furry friends don't get hurt. So reminder, 5 minutes at 120 degrees, paws burn at 1 minute at 140 degrees. So just please hold off until the evening when the sun begins to set. That way the pavement has time to cool. And of course, then you can take your dogs out for a walk. But what you guys can do, though, because we all have shoes, is head to What the Truck this evening. Temperatures in the 90s. I'd recommend grabbing a huge jug of some ice-cold lemonade and enjoy the summertime heat today. As long as you find yourselves ways to stay cool, the weather looks to cooperate for the most part, of course dodging a stray thunderstorm, which I doubt will reach specifically the Utica area this evening. But heat index values still remaining in the 90s for today, tomorrow, and for Thursday. So even though the temperature on paper might not quite reach the mid-90s, upper 90s, it will definitely feel like the mid to upper 90s. But you can see here across central New York, chance for a pop-up thunderstorm here and there, but most of us will remain entirely dry. And so your 7-day forecast, we have heat advisories until Thursday. Temperatures soaring into the mid to upper 90s. The heat wave does begin to fall apart as a stationary front north of us begins to shift south. It won't be a huge break. We're talking upper 70s to low 80s heading into the weekend with some rain and storm chances here and there. But for now, very warm and very humid.
We are in the midst of the heat wave.
Yes. In mid-June, too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Eric, thanks. Well, tomorrow, Miss Opal Lee, also known as the Grand...
This summer, stay in the know wherever you go. Download the WKTV News Channel 2 and the Storm Tracker 2 apps today.
Here's what you missed.
Once again, and thank you for joining us. Meteorologist Eric Gage joining us to start this half hour, and that heat machine has been turned on. Boy, it is hot out.
Yes, very hot, very humid, and I think, you know, we're talking about heat advisories, all that type of stuff, but I think that it's good temperatures to go out and enjoy the evening at the pool.
Oh, that'll be nice, wouldn't it?
So, yes, we have our pool forecast for today, and again, heading out this afternoon or this evening to your pool. I'm thinking temperatures will still hover in the upper 80s to low 90s. Of course, humidity on the tropical side, a decent breeze, but a reminder, UV index of 10. I recommend getting some sunscreen to put on as well, because even though you're in the water, you can still get sunburns. The heads up for that, but maybe I'll get some relief with the high heat today. A live look at busy downtown Cooperstown right now. Still very hot, very humid. 89 officially, and the temperatures keep climbing. And across central New York, 85 in Rome, 84 Hamilton. Here we go. We just hit some 90s now. 90 in Westmoreland. We have 90 degrees Little Falls. Still in the upper 70s up in the North Country. 80s up in Lowville. And let's check in some locations to the south. 92 in Sherburne, our warmest temperature so far. In 85, Snevis, 86, Oneonta. Some spots already approaching 92. And at this point, radar quiet and dry. Tracking a few pop thunderstorms that seem to be diminishing as they reach our local area. And so for today, mainly dry conditions, temperatures in the low 90s, feels like temperatures much warmer. And then following that, isolated thunderstorm possible here and there. Most of us will remain dry, but we're tracking, of course, what we can expect for tomorrow. and when this heat wave comes to an end. Straight ahead, Gary.
Eric, thanks. Millions of Americans are looking for ways to beat the heat, and as Eric mentioned, the pool might be a good choice. That's right, the season's first big heat wave well underway, and it's only mid-June. This was the scene right here in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania on Monday. Adults and kids alike taking to pools and water parks to escape the sweltering heat. Some 270 million people are expected to experience temperatures 90 degrees or above in the coming days as a heat dome takes hold, threatening to shatter more than 100 daily records this week. Authorities are warning those in impacted areas to take precautions and not underestimate the heat. And the State Department of Transportation is rolling asphalt even in this heat. Crews have been working on Route 5S, and we caught up with them in Ilion on Monday. They worked in their 90-degree temperatures on existing pavement that was 150 degrees and rolled asphalt as hot as 450 degrees. They have extra water, extra ice, and extra Gatorade on hand, and the workers are definitely looking out for each other.
Asphalt is very finicky in the sense that not only air temperature, you do have a difficult time in good part of the seasons when it's too cold to do it, but it's also when it's rain and moisture conditions that can affect it too. So it is an operation that when the sun is shining, you do have to make hay.
And a reminder, pavement work on Route 5S in Herkimer County is happening 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. And the DOT is also prepping for paving in downtown Utica. This is the ramp between State Street and eastbound Oriskany Street. Paving operations will take place daily, and for the next 2 weeks, weather permitting, detour signs are posted. And National Grid has summertime energy-saving information that you'll need this week to beat the heat and stay safe. News Channel 2's Thomas Tellerino has more on this.
With the recent heat wave, a major concern right now for many is if there is a risk of losing power. According to National Grid, you shouldn't have to worry.
The good news is that by all reports from the New York Independent System Operator, which operates the grid in New York State, there's plenty of capacity on the grid and plenty of generation available to meet the needs and the peak demands of our customers. So
National Grid has recently given out ways to beat the heat while saving money on your energy bills. As temperatures rise in the area, staying cool and saving money is a top priority for many.
All that sunlight that comes in, while we all like the natural light, that heats a room up. So drawing those blinds during the day, opening them back up at night, it helps you trap whatever cool air is in the house, in your home.
These options are low cost or no cost ways to keep your house at a comfortable temperature. Another way is to turn your thermostat up 1 degree. This will actually help you in the long run.
Seems like the opposite of what we want to do on a day like today, is to turn the air conditioning up. This is about finding the balance between comfort and safety. It costs about 18% less to turn your air conditioning up 3 degrees.
For those with ceiling fans, one thing you can do is change it to spin counterclockwise. By doing this, it will create a wind chill effect.
Something called the wind chill effect. So very much like during the winter, you have that source of cold air, and then you add a breeze to it. The fan can help throw all that cold air across the room and keep everyone cool.
By following these simple tips, you'll be able to keep cool and save money on your energy bills at the same time. For News Channel 2, I'm Thomas Tellerino.
U.S. officials said today that the U.S. is definitely seeking to avoid a greater war following a recent escalation in cross-border fire between Hezbollah and the Israeli troops. NBC's Raf Sanchez has more on this now from Tel Aviv.
The White House is increasingly concerned about the process.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. The time now is 12:41, and we are still tracking very hot and humid conditions across central New York. Let's take a live look outside right now from our camera on the Nexus Center. We can see hazy conditions, but some sunshine as well, and temperatures already soaring pretty high. As you mentioned in the past few minutes or so, some locations already in the 90s. Officially in Rome, 85, dew point is 69. We actually reached 70-degree dew points earlier on, so we were in the tropical category, and I will likely see this dew point rise once more within the next hour or so. Live radar, things are quiet and dry, tracking, of course, some remnant spotty thunderstorms popping up here and there with this insane heat and humidity, keeping things a little bit on the unsettled side. Stable atmosphere to the east, trying its best to combat that the high heat and humidity. UV index today at a 10, which is a 10 out of 11, meaning that we've got a good chance of seeing burn times being reduced to as little as 15 minutes. So those of you who are working outside today, I definitely recommend having some sunscreen, sunglasses, hats as well. Find some shade if you can. And those of you who have the ability to limit time outside, highly recommend doing so. And something we've been stressing over the past few days, if you guys have pets, please wait until the late evening after the sun begins to set, because with the sun shining directly on that pavement, it warms up very quickly. Air temperature 90, asphalt nearly 140, concrete 125, and paws burn very quickly. Just a heads up for that. But for those of us that wear shoes on our feet, you guys can head to the What the Truck this evening with temperatures between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. in the upper 80s to low 90s. A mix of faded sunshine and dodging a stray thunderstorm, although the odds of a thunderstorm directly hitting Utica today is very slim to none. Heat index so far, upper 90s expected for this evening. Same thing for tomorrow. Heat index values approaching the mid to upper 90s. And then we'll see our final day of very high heat and humidity on Thursday. And that is when we'll start to see the shifting of a weather pattern take place. Stationary front north will begin to sweep south, bringing an end to the insanely high heat and more so just typical mid to late June temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. But you can see here on our Skycast, mainly dry weather, but we're noticing a few pop-up thunderstorms here and there. The odds again are low but non-zero. Better shot for some thunderstorms as we head into Thursday. And of course, that is when our frontal boundary begins to arrive. But your 7-day forecast, heat advisories in effect for today through Thursday. And then following that, of course, that stationary front pushes south on Friday, or at least Thursday night into Friday, and will cool down into the upper 70s to low 80s. So far, a bit unsettled into the weekend. There's a lot of inconsistencies with the data regarding where that stationary front sets up for now. So we're having storms / sunshine in the forecast for the weekend. For now, though, stay cool. It's very hot out.
That's for sure. The next 3 days. Oof. Well, more than 150 million people are facing temperatures in the 90s today, with 9 triple-digit temperatures. The heat also fueling more than 20 dangerous wildfires out west. NBC's Maggie Vespa has more.
Tens of millions from coast to coast are broiling thanks to an early blast of record heat.
Oh my God, it's going to be hot.
More than 70 million Americans waking up under heat alerts from Iowa through Maine. A stubborn heat dome sending temperatures soaring up to 25 degrees above average and threatening to shatter more than 100 daily records this week. In the Midwest, Chicago hitting 97 degrees yesterday, smashing a record set back in 1957. And Detroit residents taking a sweltering 101-degree heat index in stride.
A great smothering heat and then a beautiful cool breeze off the Michigan water.
The National Weather Service warning the Ohio River Valley may experience its most impactful heat wave of the 21st century.
You can't be out too long. You have to stay hydrated.
And those blistering temps are now barreling east, with officials in several major cities warning people to take the heat seriously.
Summers are different than they were before.
New York's governor activating the National Guard, Boston's mayor declaring a state of emergency. But out west, the emergency is wildfires, with more than 20 burning across multiple states. New evacuation orders issued yesterday for an entire community in New Mexico. The village of Ruidoso telling residents go now, with 2 fires growing rapidly in the area. And in California,
make sure you got our back.
The Post fire north of LA now topping 15,000 acres and threatening dozens of homes. With dramatic conditions in the west and extreme heat rolling east, Americans bracing for a wild weather week.
NBC's Maggie Vespa reporting. And stay with us. More news is up next.
News with Kristen Copeland and Jason Pallas.
Yeah, tropical humidity could lead to pop-up storms. It's a Storm Tracker 2 alert day.
Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis is tracking from the Weather Center. Bill, good evening.
Yeah, just a hot day. I mean, we've been watching the radar. We had some activity earlier today, but things are pretty quiet so far. We'll keep an eye on things. Big story, of course, is the heat. Our current temperature, 88 degrees, but that only tells a small part of the story. Well, actually, we have a bigger part here. Look at the dew point, 73. It feels tropical. It feels like 96. We did hit 90 today, and so therefore our heat wave, we're on day 2 of it. We're expecting tomorrow and Thursday to climb to or above 90 degrees. Again, a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Pretty quiet. We'll continue to keep an eye on things because in this kind of environment, it doesn't take much in the atmosphere to spark off a shower or storm. But again, it's going to mainly be dry this evening. We have a few isolated storm chances ahead. The best chance of rain this week looks to be Friday as a cold front arrives, and that's going to bring us a lot more changes in the weather. This evening, toasty temperatures in the upper 80s. Again, very humid out there. I've got to look at when the humidity breaks and what's ahead. Look at the forecast coming up. Back over to you.
Keeping your cool can be difficult in this extreme heat when you live outdoors.
Yeah, local organizations who help the homeless are ready to welcome new faces when weather extremes strike, like the heat wave. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports.
Several people stopped by the Utica Rescue Mission drop-in center on West Street to snack, snooze, and most of all, to stay cool, as temperatures today soared into the 90s with oppressively high humidity.
We kind of treat this like it's the wintertime and the elements, only now it's the heat.
The mission sent an advisory to staff to be on the lookout for signs of heat exhaustion.
We also got to worry about medications that some of our residents take because those can had side effects from the extreme heat. So basically, we're on alert.
The mission's drop-in center normally closes each day for 2 hours to clean up and replenish, but in these weather extremes...
Typically, we close at 2 for cleaning and allow everything to be reset, but if it's extreme cold or extreme heat, we'll just let clients stay.
The drop-in center is separate from the mission's shelter, but if anyone shows up at either in this heat, they won't be turned away.
Someone can come to the shelter, absolutely, and we'll assess them there and bring them in. Really, both places they can come, but the drop-in center will be the primary place to just come during the day and to get some place to cool off.
Cornerstone Community Church in West Utica will be serving dinner to several dozen homeless people as usual tonight, but they'll be opening the doors a little early so they don't have to wait outside in the heat. Saturdays this summer, mission staff will be at Oneida Square meeting people where they are with help.
Handing out waters, encouraging people that aren't engaged to engage to come to our drop-in center.
Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
Nearly 8 months after heavy stone began falling from several years.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good evening. We're going to stay in alert mode over the next 3 days, and it's just because of the heat. We're talking about dew points in the low 70s. The air temperature in the upper 80s to near 90. We combine those two numbers together, and it's just a very hot day. 96 degrees is the heat index. That's what our bodies feel. And again, you just want to take extra precautions on days like today. We're going to continue to see this hot weather tomorrow as well as Thursday before the heat breaks on Friday. A live look in downtown Utica. It's lovely. We've had a nice day. Weather-wise, it's been sunny. Our temperature is 89 degrees, and it has been dry. The storm chances over the next couple of days will be very low, but they're not going to be zero. A few places did get wet earlier this morning, especially across the Adirondacks. So there is the chance that we could see a few isolated storms tonight, tomorrow, as well as Thursday. But again, the overall risk is very, very low. The air conditioner getting a workout over the next couple of days. I think by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you'll be using less of it as we start to cool down. And again, it's not going to happen all at once, but we'll start to see some relief here as we head into Friday. The heat index climbs into the mid to upper 90s again on Wednesday and Thursday. I think both of these days will be pretty similar to today. And then we'll see that drop in the humidity and temperature as we head into Friday as well as the weekend. Here's a look at some current temperatures. These thermometers, not all of these look to be properly calibrated. Some of them are a little bit warmer than I was expecting, like Lowville 94, Westernville 89 degrees, Westmoreland 90. You got to make sure when you have your thermometer, you want to keep it out of the sun on a day like today. Cooperstown 92, Oneonta 86, Norwich with 90 degrees. So you look at the radar and satellite image, we are looking at this big dome of high pressure. It's a heat dome, and it's in general keeping the storms away, but not entirely. You can see a couple of blips here on the satellite image. These are a few isolated storms to the west, and again, we could see a few isolated storms over the next couple of days. Very muggy tonight. Overnight lows only in the 70s. It's very humid and hot tomorrow. High temperatures will be in the low 90s. Again, an isolated storm is possible. Very muggy tomorrow night. Rinse and repeat on Thursday. Hot, humid. Temperatures pushing 90 degrees. A cold front will be dropping in from the north on Friday, and that brings some showers and storms, but also some relief as we head into the weekend. Very muggy tonight, low of 72. Hot, humid tomorrow. Temperatures in the low 90s. Again, the heat index in the mid to upper 90s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Friday is when things start to change. Cold front arrives, showers, storms, 84 for the high. Hit or miss showers and thunderstorms Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Temperatures remain very warm, even for this time of the year, but we'll get away from the high levels of heat and humidity.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Well, wildfires are raging in the west.
Millions in the Northeast and Midwest are facing sweltering temperatures. Reporter Lee Waldman has the extreme weather news.
A wall of smoke filled the sky in New Mexico as two wildfires converged like a pair of tongs around the village of Ruidoso, where thousands of people were forced to leave their homes.
It's going to take a lot to get everything back, but, you know, as long as lives are saved and, you know, homes are always replaceable.
The area in an extreme drought for nearly a year. In California, several fires are burning across the state. More than 1,000 firefighters are working to contain the Post Fire, which has burned more than 15,000 acres since Saturday. Winds and rugged terrain making the firefight more challenging.
We're talking between 50 and 60 miles an hour gust up on the ridges.
Across the country, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul is alerting parts of the state for a heat wave not seen in decades, activating the National Guard and opening cooling centers.
We don't need any fancy data to tell us this. It's going to be extremely hot and uncomfortable. In fact, it'll be dangerously hot.
Dangerous heat is hitting major metropolitan areas from Chicago to Boston. Meanwhile, in the Gulf, the hurricane season's first threat is churning. The National Hurricane Center predicts the tropical system will unload torrential rains, bringing flooding threats to the U.S., western Gulf Coast, parts of Central America, and parts of Mexico. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Coming up, a celebrity sighting in Cooperstown.
Also tonight, Decision 2024.
This summer, stay in the know wherever you go. Download the WKTV News Channel 2 and the Storm Tracker 2 apps today.
Households and businesses might want to think about how extreme heat could impact their bottom line. Karen Caifa has a look at some of the numbers and ways for households to safely cut costs.
Extreme heat is becoming more frequent and more costly.
We would never think about planning for wildfire season or hurricane season just during those seasons.
Ashley Ward of the Duke University Heat Policy Innovation Hub says that these punishing heat waves make it more expensive to cool a home.
When temperatures overnight don't fall below 75 degrees, for example, it doesn't give the body or any living thing or our energy systems time to recover from that daytime exposure.
David Tinsley, senior economist for the Bank of America Institute, says their analysis found higher average temperatures boosting consumers' average monthly utility payments by 23% since 2019.
All the data is suggesting that these heat waves are hotter and are lasting longer. And so when that occurs, people have to turn up their aircon and leave it on longer, and that's adding to cost.
There's a burden on businesses, too. In a 2023 report, the U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee cited data pointing to more than 2.5 billion hours of lost labor across certain sectors like agriculture, construction, and manufacturing.
These extremes of heat are really impactful. So it does have a somewhat depressing effect on the overall economy.
Extreme heat can also disrupt the airline industry. When air is hot and less dense, planes need less weight or more runway for takeoff. That can lead to bumped passengers or baggage or canceled flights. In Washington, I'm Karen Caifa.
A winning Take 5 lottery ticket is sold locally. Plus, animals at the Utica Zoo are
Cats, emu.
My goodness. The Utica Zoo is home to many different types of animals, and with the surge in temperatures this week, zoo officials have to take extra care to make sure the animals are comfortable. News Channel 2's Thomas Tellerino has the story.
High temperatures during the summer months may lead to some questions as to how the animals are cared for. Officials from the Utica Zoo use many different strategies to ensure the animals are taken care of.
As you can see here, over near the emus, there's misters for them to keep cold. You will see this throughout the zoo as many animals need them to keep cool during the hot weather.
We have some features where the animals and species can be in water, like our North American river otters, our Chinese alligators. So we also have enrichment. We make fish sickles and different kinds of frozen fruits and frozen treats for our animals.
Many of the animals in the zoo have very different needs, something the zoo is very mindful of.
But if it's an animal that really is used to very, very, cold temperatures or not ever this type of temperature, we're going to take precautions. Some of those animals we might not even have in an area where there is a lot of sun.
But while the zoo's employees have to be very mindful of the animals' well-being, sometimes the best option is to let the animals decide for themselves.
And then the biggest thing is, just like us, if they're hot, they're pretty smart, they'll go inside where it's cooler. And so when you visit the zoo on a day like this type of weather, you may not see them out. Or they may come out for a little while and they may go back in. But really, their well-being is the utmost of importance.
This isn't the first time the Utica Zoo has had to deal with a heat wave. They're used to this just happening later on in the summer. They already have the procedures in place and are keeping the animals safe. For News Channel 2, I'm Thomas Tellerino.
Thomas, thank you. Don't walk the emu today.
Not at all. Bill.
Yeah, so we're talking about the heat, and we want to pass this along. If you haven't gotten the message about your ceiling fan yet, we just want to remind people that the direction that it spins is important. You want to make sure it's spinning counterclockwise these days. What that does is it helps push the air down, creating a wind chill effect, and it's going to keep you cool the most efficient way. If it's spinning clockwise, as it should in the wintertime, that helps kind of draw the heat, the air upwards, and it moves the heat from the ceiling back down to the surface. So we want to make sure that our ceiling fans are spinning counterclockwise. There is this switch on a lot of fans, or it's on a remote. All depends on the type of fan that you have. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It is dry. We've been keeping an eye on things for any potential storms, but they've been very limited so far. Our heat wave continues tomorrow, Thursday. Temperatures are expected to climb at or above 90 degrees. And just a reminder, you want to make sure that you're walking your pets early in the morning or late in the evening, not during the heat of the day. The pavement is scorching hot. Tonight's featured dog, Max from Forestport. This is brought to you by Nye Automotive Group. Back over to you.
Right, Max. Bill, thank you.
While extreme heat can have a significant impact on everyone's safety, it can be especially stressful and confusing for individuals with dementia. That's according to the Central New York chapter of the Alzheimer's Association.
In the heat, judgment may be impaired, and these people won't be able to communicate their discomfort. Here's some advice, in addition to staying hydrated, of course. Make a plan to check in regularly with your loved ones and pay special attention at night. Difficulty sleeping because of the heat could heighten anxiety and increase agitation.
Now, the 38 million Americans who suffer with diabetes also need to be careful in the heat.
Health experts say they can actually feel the heat more than people who aren't diabetic. Mandy Gaither reports on ways to manage diabetes in the hot temperatures.
Extreme heat can be hard on everyone, but experts say it's especially dangerous for those with diabetes.
Patients with diabetes have to be really careful in the heat to really think even more than they normally do about the direction of their blood sugar.
Dr. Bithika Thompson with Mayo Clinic says sweating can make you dehydrated, which affects the body's ability to normalize blood sugar. In a diabetic patient, that can make sugar levels in the blood get dangerously low or high.
So it's kind of a slippery slope there where it makes you quite ill.
Thompson says those with diabetes can protect against extreme heat, check blood sugar levels often, maintain good hydration, stay indoors during the hottest part of the day, but make sure you're still getting some physical activity.
You need to have a plan to keep yourself active because you don't want to get through the summer months without any significant activity and have that, be a risk to you and your overall health with your diabetes.
Heat can also affect diabetes supplies, equipment, and medication too. Thompson says to make sure you don't keep them in a hot car, follow instructions from a doctor or on the label on how to store it. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A winning Take 5 lottery.
Summer, never get caught on the course in bad weather. Get severe weather alerts right to your phone with the WKTV Storm Tracker weather app, the only weather app on your phone powered locally by the WKTV Storm Tracker 2 team. When you're on the go, stay in the know.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good evening. We're going to be in alert mode over the next 3 days due to the high levels of heat and humidity. We're also going to be seeing an isolated chance of a thunderstorm going forward. Let's take a live look in Old Forge, a temperature of 83. The big story has been the heat index, the combination of the heat and humidity. We hit 90 degrees for the second day in a row at Griffiths and Rome, so this we'll make it an official heat wave if we can do this again tomorrow. The heat index to the west is in triple digits. Syracuse 101, Rochester 103. So again, it is very, very uncomfortable outdoors. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things have looked pretty quiet so far. I actually noticed one small shower just popping up here. This is over in Madison County. It wasn't there a few moments ago. This is what we're talking about here. We think that we could see a few pop-up thunderstorms. Actually, we have another one out near Oneonta. This is something we'll be keeping an eye on as we head throughout this evening. With the high levels of heat and humidity, there's going to be a few more of these isolated storms popping up. They can develop very quickly, too. So I'm going to keep an eye on these very small cells. I think they're going to be growing pretty quickly over the next hour, and we'll keep you updated throughout the newscast. We didn't hit the record today. Record high 96, even though the heat index is higher than that. The air temperature 90 degrees. We're going to get close to the records. I don't think this is going to break very many records here going forward, but again, it is hot weather earlier in the season than we're used to. It stays very, very humid over the next 2 days, but there's some relief in sight beginning Friday. Our Skywatchers checking in. Bob and Clinton 92, Cassville 90 degrees. Norway 89, Jeff and Mohawk 92, Skidibus 93, Stewart and Cooperstown with 90. As we're looking at the radar and satellite image, again, big dome of high pressure producing high levels of heat and humidity. In this environment, a few random isolated storms develop. We'll see a few more of them over the next couple of days. Very muggy tonight. Overnight lows only in the low 70s. A hot day tomorrow, temperatures in the low 90s. Again, an isolated storm can't be ruled out. Tomorrow night, another very muggy night. We're going to rinse and repeat on Thursday. Hot, humid, isolated storms. A cold front Friday produces our best chance of rain this week, along with a drop in the heat and humidity. Very muggy tonight, low of 72. Tomorrow, hazy, hot and humid, isolated storm or two, 92 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Relief begins on Friday. 84 for the high. Showers, thunderstorms, a noticeable drop in the humidity. It's muggy over the weekend, but it's not going to be as hot and humid as the next couple of days. High temperatures in the 80s. Cooler on Monday, but then we're back into the low to mid 80s here as we look ahead to next Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Kristen Copeland and Jason Pallas.
Thanks for joining us. The heat and humidity are making it uncomfortable outside.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Bill Card is tracking this on an alert day. He has the latest from the Weather Center.
Yeah, an alert day due to the high levels of heat and humidity. Our heat index sitting at 96 degrees. It is not just a hot day, but it is a very hot day. Our current temperature 88 degrees out of Griffiths and Rome. We did hit 90 earlier this afternoon, so this marks the second day this year that we've hit 90, second day in a row as well. We're keeping an eye on the radar this evening. While it has been a beautiful day from a weather standpoint, we have noticed a couple of isolated thunderstorms just starting to develop, one just south of Milford. We'll be keeping an eye on this because we have a very humid environment, which means we get some locally heavy rain. And there's not a lot of wind in the atmosphere, too. So there is a very, very small concern that we could see some locally heavy rain tonight. Heat wave continues tomorrow as well as Thursday. Isolated storm chances ahead. It looks like our next chance of any beneficial rain looks to be Friday for most of the area, and that's when things will start to change. Temperatures in the 80s this evening. Again, a few isolated storms possible. We've got to look at when the heat breaks and what's ahead. A look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Some of our neighbors have no air conditioning, no fan, no home to help them escape this oppressive heat.
Luckily, there are organizations ready to help them during extreme temperatures. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports.
They were snacking, snoozing, and staying cool at the Utica Rescue Mission's West Street Drop-In Center today. On days like this, the center's likely to welcome some new faces.
We definitely see more traffic and more people showing up during weather extremes, be it hot or cold.
The mission sent a memo to staff asking them to be on the lookout for signs of heat-related illness.
We also got to worry about medications that some of our residents take because those can had side effects from the extreme heat. So basically, we're on alert.
And during this hot stretch and potential heat wave this week, they bend their own rules.
Typically, we close at 2 for cleaning and allow everything to be reset. But if it's extreme cold or extreme heat, we'll just let clients stay.
Cornerstone Community Church in West Utica will be serving dinner to several dozen homeless people as usual tonight, but they'll be opening the doors a little early so they don't have to wait outside in the heat. The Rescue Mission's shelter is separate from the drop-in center, but those who show up at either in this anticipated heat wave won't be turned away.
Someone can come to the shelter, absolutely, and we'll assess them there and bring them in. Really, both places they can come. But the drop-in center will be the primary place to just come during the day and to get some place to cool off.
Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
If you've been driving through West Utica, you might have seen...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good evening. We're going to stay in alert mode over the next couple of days just due to the high levels of heat and humidity. When that heat index pushes 95, that's when we flip the switch into alert mode. Look at the current temperatures, the current dew point, I should say, 73. That's the difference maker today compared to yesterday. And you combine that with an air temperature in the upper 80s, it feels like 96. So again, just take it easy if you're heading out. It is going to cool off and become a lot more comfortable over the next several hours, especially after sunset. Live look in downtown Utica. It's been a beautiful day. 89 degrees is the current temperature, and this is a thunderstorm cloud that we're seeing way in the distance. We're actually looking at this one out towards Oneonta. In fact, I'm going to step aside and zoom in on the radar to show you where we're talking about. A few rumbles of thunder, again, just east of Oneonta over Milford. These are very slowly moving to the north. There's not a lot of wind in the atmosphere, so a brief, a heavier downpour just south of Milford. We could see a few isolated storms over the next couple of days. The air conditioner getting a workout. That will be the case through the end of the week. The heat wave breaks on Friday. Looking through the records and looking at the forecast, I don't think we're going to be breaking a lot of records during this stretch. Yes, it is hot. It is early than usual, but nothing earth-shattering here from a climate standpoint. Tomorrow's record high 92 could be tied. I think we'll come up just short on Thursday. The heat index, that's a different story. It is going to feel much hotter than the air temperature. We'll be in the upper 90s over the next couple of days. And then by Friday, that's when the heat breaks. Our Skywatchers checking in. Clinton 92, Mike in New Hartford 93. Down in Norway, 89 degrees. Mark and Milford with 86. This big dome of heat continues. Again, a couple isolated storms showing up from time to time, especially to the west. And again, we'll be on the lookout for those over the next couple of days. A very muggy night, a good night to run the air conditioner if you have it. Overnight lows in the 70s. Hazy, hot, and humid tomorrow. An isolated storm is possible. Temperatures in the low 90s. Tomorrow night, another very mild night. We're only down into the 70s. We do this again on Thursday. Hazy, hot, and humid with a few isolated storms. It's Friday when that cold front arrives that will provide for some relief along with the chance for widespread showers and thunderstorms. A very muggy night tonight, low of only 72. Hazy, hot, and humid tomorrow, an isolated storm, 92 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The heat wave breaks Friday, 84 degrees, showers, thunderstorms. The weather unsettled over the weekend. We're looking at showers and thunderstorms both Saturday and Sunday afternoon. At this point, neither day looks to be a washout, but we'll take a closer look as we approach the weekend. Temperatures in the 70s as we look ahead to Monday.
All right, Bill, thank you.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6, we're going to hear from former...
Be in the know wherever you go. Download the WKTV News Channel 2 and the Storm Tracker 2 apps today.
Well, some like it hot, others not so much.
The Utica Zoo is ready to accommodate both on days like this. Their animals have been taken into consideration during extreme weather like today's scorching hot temperatures. Utica Zoo officials are watching them closely, making the accommodations for those who don't like or do well in extreme heat. But some animals actually do like it, and still others kind of know how to cool down on their own.
So we have misters for some of our animals exhibits. Some of our animals enjoy the hot water or the hot weather. You know, our primates like to bask in the sun. So do big cats, our lions. And then we have some features where the animals and species can be in water, like our North American river otters, our Chinese alligators. So we also have enrichment. We make fish sickles and different kinds of frozen fruits and frozen treats for our animals.
Fish sickles.
I'll pass.
Zoo officials keep an eye on staff and visitors in this heat too.
A special traveling art exhibit will be on display at Herkimer College for the next few weeks. The Art Without Boundaries traveling art exhibit is currently on display at Herkimer College's Kogar Gallery. The exhibit is presented by ARC Herkimer and has been on the road for about a year now. The exhibit features art from the members of ARC Herkimer and has several different mediums, including photography, painting, woodwork, and resin pieces.
Mostly background, mostly scenery, birds and animals.
Eric Luby is an ARC Herkimer artist who has some of his work on display in Art Without Boundaries exhibit. He likes painting nature scenes, but added that he hopes the people who view the exhibit will walk away with thinking about how beautiful our artwork is. The Art Without Boundaries exhibit is free and open to the public Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and will be at Herkimer College until July 12th. From there, it's going to head to the Frankfurt Free Library.
Looks awesome. New at 6, the Great New York State Fair is giving you a chance.
Summer, never get caught on the course in bad weather. Get severe weather alerts right to your phone with the WKTV Storm Tracker weather app, the only weather app on your phone powered locally by the WKTV Storm Tracker 2 team. When you're on the go, stay in the know.
Thank you for joining us tonight. One hot day today for sure. In fact, Governor Hochul announced free admission to state park sites during this week's heat wave. In our area, that's, of course, Glimmerglass, Delta Lake State Park, Verona Beach State Park. So, Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis, we're expecting another hot one tomorrow. You want to take advantage of the beach, right?
Yeah, it's a good place to be on a hot day. Calling for a high temperature of 92 degrees, hazy, hot, and humid. And the best news of all is the winds look very light. Yes, we're in alert mode because of the heat and humidity. We're going to stay in alert mode here over the next 2 days. Temperature tomorrow of 92. The heat index is likely to be in the upper 90s, just like it was today. Light winds, a very small chance of an isolated storm tomorrow, but really not expecting much. 2 more days in the 90s before the heat wave breaks on Friday. We're looking at some cooler weather, cooler being relative. We're still in the 80s here heading into the weekend. It is dry across the region on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. This is a great night to run the air conditioner. Overnight lows will be in the low 70s. It will be a very uncomfortable night. And again, we're going to be dealing with a few warm nights ahead as well before things start to change. I've got to look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Some of our neighbors have no air conditioning, no fans, not even a home to help them escape the oppressive heat that's around. Luckily, there are organizations already there to help them during these weather extremes. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports tonight.
They were snacking, snoozing, and staying cool at the Utica Rescue Mission's West Street Drop-In Center today. On days like this, the center's likely to welcome some new faces.
We definitely see more traffic and more people showing up during weather extremes, be it hot or cold.
The mission sent a memo to staff asking them to be on the lookout for signs of heat-related illness.
We also got to worry about medications that some of our residents take because those can have side effects from the extreme heat. So basically, we're on alert.
And during this hot stretch and potential heat wave this week, they bend their own rules.
Typically, we close at 2 for cleaning and allow everything to be reset. But if it's extreme cold or extreme heat, we'll just let clients stay.
Cornerstone Community Church in West Utica will be serving dinner to several dozen homeless people as usual tonight, but they'll be opening the doors a little early so they don't have to wait outside in the heat. The Rescue Mission's shelter is separate from the drop-in center, but those who show up at either in this anticipated heat wave won't be turned away.
Someone can come to the shelter, absolutely, and we'll assess them there and bring them in. Really, both places they can come. But the drop-in center will be the primary place to just come during the day and to get some place to cool off.
Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
Decision 20. Well, the hot weather affects us all, and that includes animals and those animals in the zoo. And the Utica Zoo is ready to accommodate the animals that don't like the heat and those that thrive with it. Their animals have to be taken into consideration during weather extremes like this. Scorching temperatures. Utica Zoo officials, they're watching closely, making accommodations for those who don't like it or those who do well in extreme heat. Now, some animals, they actually do like it, and still others, they kind of know how to cool down on their own.
So we have misters for some of our animals exhibits. Some of our animals enjoy the hot water or the hot weather. You know, our primates like to bask in the sun. So do big cats, our lions. And then we have some features where the animals and species can be in water, like our North American river otters, our Chinese alligators. So we also have enrichment. We make fish sickles and different kinds of frozen fruits and frozen treats for our animals.
Zoo officials keep an eye on staff and visitors, too, in this heat. Well, the state is spending $4.7 million to improve thruway bridges.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. It feels tropical out there this evening. The big story is just the high levels of humidity. Our dew point 75. That is about as high as it typically gets around here. And I can't remember the last time that we've had a dew point of 75. It's been a long, long time. With that being said, the air temperature makes it feel like 83 at 10 o'clock in the evening. So again, a very warm evening ahead. A live look in downtown Utica, a temperature of 80. It's going to be a very uncomfortable night for sleeping. We're keeping an eye on the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. In this environment, it does not take much of a disturbance in the atmosphere to spark off some thunderstorms. We can see a few thunderstorms to the west. They're moving incredibly slowly. It's possible we could see an isolated storm tonight, tomorrow night, as well as Thursday. The air conditioner is going to be a must over the next couple of days. High levels of heat and humidity, but there is an end in sight. It does look like the heat wave breaks Friday, and while it's not going to get really cool, it will take the edge off of the high heat and humidity as we look ahead. We did not break today's record high, 96. It was pretty safe. Today's high temperature of 90 degrees. Tomorrow we could tie the record high of 92, but I don't think we're going to be setting any big-time records here over the next couple of days. While this heat is a little bit earlier than usual, it's not unprecedented for our area. By the way, today's high of 90 marks the second day this year that we hit 90 degrees yesterday being the first. With that being said, air temperatures tomorrow still in the low 90s. The heat index will be in the upper 90s. Remember, that's what it's going to feel like when we combine that with humidity. 96 for Thursday for the heat index, and then it does become more comfortable as we head into the weekend. The radar and satellite image shows a big dome of heat, again, producing a few random pop-up thunderstorms to the west. We'll be keeping an eye on these as we get into tonight and tomorrow. Very warm tonight, overnight lows only in the 70s. Tomorrow we're looking at partly sunny skies, hazy, hot, and humid. An isolated storm is possible. Tomorrow night, another very warm night, overnight lows in the 70s. We do this again on Thursday. Rinse and repeat. Looking at, again, a hot day with the chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Again, high temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s. Very muggy tonight, low of 72. Tomorrow, hazy, hot, and humid, an isolated storm, 92 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Thursday, 90 showers, thunderstorms possible. Better chance of storms Friday as a cold front arrives. We're looking at some hit or miss thunderstorms Saturday and Sunday as well as Monday. I don't think those days are washouts, but we just kind of get unsettled weather with a stalled front over our area heading into the weekend.
And touch of humidity always makes the air soupy.
And it's really soupy tonight.
You betcha. All right, thanks, Bill. Coming on next, and thank you for joining us. It was a hot one today. In fact, Governor Hochul today, Bill, announcing that there's free admission to state park sites during this week's heat wave, including Glimmerglass, Delta Lake, and Verona Beach. Good news, because it's going to be hot again tomorrow, right?
You want to be by the water. If you're going to be outside tomorrow, it's best enjoyed in the shade, by the water, and what a great day for that. If you have a boat or if you're going to be by the beach. Yes, it is an alert day for the high levels of heat and humidity because not all of us have that luxury. If you're going to be out, just be careful. Make sure you are taking frequent breaks. Even if you are at the beach, you're going to still need to stay hydrated. Calling for a high temperature of 92 degrees. The heat index will be about 98. That, remember, factors in the heat and humidity. The good news is the wind will be pretty light. Good news if you're out on the boat, not so great if you're just trying to cool off. 2 more days with temperatures in the 90s before the heat wave breaks on Friday. We're looking at temperatures in the 80s heading into the weekend. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's quiet across the region. Can't rule out an isolated storm overnight. Temperatures are going to drop only into the low 70s. It's going to be a very, very muggy night. Good night to run the air conditioner. And keep those windows closed. Try to cool off the house. We're tracking, again, some hot weather ahead. And look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. Some of our neighbors have no air conditioning, no fan, not even a home to help them escape this oppressive heat. Fortunately, there are organizations ready to help them during these weather extremes. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports.
They were snacking, snoozing, and staying cool at the Utica Rescue Mission's West Street Drop-In Center today. On days like this, the center's likely to welcome some new faces.
We definitely see more traffic and more people showing up during weather extremes, be it hot or cold.
The mission sent a memo to staff asking them to be on the lookout for signs of heat-related illness.
We also got to worry about medications that some of our residents take because those can had side effects from the extreme heat. So basically, we're on alert.
And during this hot stretch and potential heat wave this week, they bend their own rules.
Typically, we close at 2 for cleaning and allow everything to be reset. But if it's extreme cold or extreme heat, we'll just let clients stay.
Cornerstone Community Church in West Utica will be serving dinner to several dozen homeless people as usual tonight, but they'll be opening the doors a little early so they don't have to wait outside in the heat. The Rescue Mission's shelter is separate from the drop-in center, but those who show up at either in this anticipated heat wave won't be turned away.
Someone can come to the shelter, absolutely, and we'll assess them there and bring them in. Really, both places they can come. But the drop-in center will be the primary place to just come during the day and to get some place to cool off.
Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
Decision. Well, the hot weather affects all of us, right? Including the animals at the zoo and the Utica Zoo, ready to accommodate the animals that don't like the heat and those that thrive. See, their animals have to be taken into consideration during extreme weather like we've been seeing. like today's scorching hot temperatures, as a matter of fact. Utica Zoo officials are watching them closely, making accommodations for those who don't like or don't do well in extreme heat. But some like it quite a bit, and others know how to cool down on their own.
So we have misters for some of our animals' exhibits. Some of our animals enjoy the hot water or the hot weather. You know, our primates like to bask in the sun. So do big cats, our lions. And then we have some features where the animals and species can be in water, like our North American river otters, our Chinese alligators. So we also have enrichment. We make fish sickles and different kinds of frozen fruits and frozen treats for our animals.
We save the fishicles for the animals. Zoo officials keep an eye on staff and visitors during this heat as well. Well, the state is spending $4.7 million to improve thruway bridges in Herkimer County.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good evening, welcome back. Again, we're in alert mode just because of the high heat and humidity expected over the next couple of days. Our dew point 74. It is very, very humid. The all-time high dew point, by the way, I looked through the records, measured at Griffiths was 79, measured on July 1st, 2018. So we are only a few degrees shy of that. Dew point, remember, is a measurement of humidity. It's very humid tonight, and with the measurement of the humidity and the air temperature, it makes it feel like 78. So again, it's a very warm evening here in central New York. It still feels like 90, by the way, in Syracuse. 78 in downtown Utica, a very warm and sticky night across the region. We are tracking pretty quiet weather locally. We look to the west, we can see a few showers and thunderstorms out in the Finger Lakes. Weather stays pretty quiet tonight, very small chance of a pop-up thunderstorm tonight as well as tomorrow. The air conditioner, a must over the next couple of days. It is going to be a scorcher here for Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures climb into the low 90s. The heat breaks on Friday and it becomes more comfortable as we head into the weekend. We did not break the record high today. That was and still is 96, but we could tie it tomorrow. Record high 92 back in 2007. The record on Thursday looks safe, 92, our forecasted high of 90. By the way, this is an earlier than usual heat wave. Usually we get them in July as opposed to June. But as far as record breaking goes, nothing that really stands out here in terms of anything unprecedented. It's just not for our area. The heat index will be very hot tomorrow as well as Thursday. Feeling more like 98 Wednesday afternoon, 96 on Thursday. And then again, the heat does break as we head into the weekend with temperatures much more pleasant. Still in the 80s, still very warm, but not quite as hot as it will be continuing to experience over the next 2 days. We look to the west, we've got a giant heat dome, and it is producing a few isolated storms tonight, mainly in western New York. Again, we can't rule out a very brief thunderstorm here over the next couple of days. Tonight, a very warm night, overnight lows only in the low 70s. Tomorrow, looking at sunshine, hazy, hot, and humid conditions with temperatures in the low 90s. An isolated storm is possible. Tomorrow night, very warm, overnight lows only in the 70s. We do this again on Thursday, hazy, hot, and humid. Temperatures close to 90. It's not until Thursday night and Friday that a cold front drops in from the north, and that will produce some showers and thunderstorms along with a change in the weather. Very muggy tonight, a low of 72. Tomorrow, hazy, hot, and humid, an isolated storm, 92 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The heat breaks Friday, but we still have the risk of thunderstorms as we head into the weekend. Temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Cooler Monday, but we're back into the low 80s with sunshine as we look ahead to Tuesday. We'll be right back.